This is your World News Podcast for June 28, 2025. A powerful heat wave scorches southern Europe, with temperatures soaring past 100 degrees in Greece and Italy. Authorities are urging residents and tourists to remain indoors during peak heat hours. Russia launched another wave of missile strikes on Kyiv and Kharkiv overnight. Ukraine reports multiple power outages and damage to energy infrastructure. China sent several warships and fighter jets near Taiwan in its latest show of military force. Taiwan's defense ministry condemned the action as deliberate intimidation. Severe flooding in India displaced over 400,000 people across the states of Assam and Bihar. Rescue operations are underway as rainfall continues to hammer the region. The Supreme Court of the United States ruled that sitting presidents may be partially immune from prosecution. The decision could impact ongoing investigations involving former President Donald Trump. Israeli airstrikes targeted several locations in Gaza following renewed rocket fire from Hamas. Civilian casualties are rising, and ceasefire talks remain stalled. Japan announced a $70 billion economic stimulus plan to battle inflation. The yen continues to weaken as consumer confidence drops. The United Nations warned that over 500 million people are facing food insecurity worldwide. Conflict and climate change are the main drivers of the growing crisis. Germany arrested 3 suspects accused of planning a cyber attack on the country's energy grid. Officials believe the suspects have links to foreign intelligence networks. North Korea tested a new intercontinental ballistic missile capable of reaching the United States. South Korea condemned the launch as a provocation and violation of security agreements. France evacuated multiple train stations in Paris after bomb threats were received. Security has been tightened nationwide amid growing concern over coordinated threats. Saudi Arabia and Iran are set to hold direct diplomatic talks for the first time in 7 years. The meeting will take place in Oman with United Nations support. Canada is battling massive wildfires in British Columbia and Alberta. The smoke is affecting air quality across multiple cities, and evacuations are underway. Brazil declared a state of emergency in parts of the Amazon due to uncontrollable wildfires. The fires are driven by illegal logging and prolonged drought conditions. The Bank of England raised interest rates again to combat persistent inflation. This is the 3rd rate hike this year and could impact mortgage payments across the country. Protests erupted in Nairobi, Kenya, after lawmakers passed a controversial tax increase. Unions are calling for a national strike starting Monday. Mexico reported a wave of cartel violence in Guerrero. Dozens of people were killed over the past week, prompting a federal response. Australia introduced a new immigration policy to attract skilled workers. Priority sectors include healthcare, engineering, and technology. Thailand launched a tourism recovery plan offering visa-free entry to over 50 countries. Officials aim to attract over 30 million international visitors by year's end. The European Union is discussing emergency plans to manage future pandemics. New proposals include faster vaccine development and joint procurement strategies. South Africa pledged to phase out coal by the year 2040 as part of a green transition plan. The announcement was praised internationally but faced backlash from local mining unions. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky met with NATO leaders to request additional air defense systems. The alliance reaffirmed support but stopped short of promising membership. Indonesia is cracking down on illegal gold mining after deadly landslides buried dozens. Authorities are shutting down unlicensed sites and deploying emergency crews. Iraq recorded its highest temperature of the year at 124 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat has strained the country's power grid and sparked wildfires near major cities. Iran announced a satellite launch into low Earth orbit as part of its space expansion efforts. Western governments feared the technology could also support ballistic missile development. Vietnam is preparing for a major tropical storm expected to make landfall in the central region. Evacuations are already underway in vulnerable coastal communities. The Philippines raised alert levels as a volcano in Luzon shows signs of imminent eruption. Ash clouds have already begun affecting nearby villages and farms. Turkey's central bank raised interest rates to stabilize its currency after weeks of volatility. The lira has fallen sharply, impacting imports and consumer prices. Pakistan launched a new anti-terrorism operation in tribal areas near the Afghan border. Military leaders say the goal is to root out armed groups behind recent bombings. Ethiopia is experiencing renewed fighting in the Amhara region despite a peace agreement. The conflict has displaced thousands and threatens to reignite a broader civil war. Argentina is facing a nationwide shortage of gasoline due to refinery maintenance delays. Long lines have formed at gas stations across major cities. New Zealand introduced a ban on certain single-use plastics, including cutlery and plates. The move is part of a broader plan to reduce waste and ocean pollution. South Korea issued a cyber alert after several government agencies were targeted in phishing attacks. Officials suspect the hackers may be based in North Korea. Egypt and Sudan held joint military drills near the disputed Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The exercise signals rising tension over control of Nile River water resources. Poland announced plans to boost defense spending to over 4% of its GDP. This is part of a broader effort to modernize the military and counter Russian aggression. Cuba is facing rolling blackouts due to fuel shortages and failing infrastructure. The outages have disrupted daily life and sparked public frustration. Chile passed a new climate law, requiring all new vehicles to be electric by the year 2035. The law is part of its plan to become carbon neutral by 2050. Nigeria is experiencing a wave of kidnappings for ransom across several states. The federal government has deployed additional troops to combat the crisis. Italy's parliament passed a new migration bill limiting sea rescue operations by NGOs. Human rights groups have criticized the measure as dangerous and inhumane. Greece reported the highest tourist arrivals since before the pandemic. The tourism boom is straining local resources and infrastructure. The United Arab Emirates announced a multi-billion-dollar investment in artificial intelligence. The goal is to position the country as a leader in emerging technology. Myanmar's military junta is tightening its control over media and internet access. Several news outlets have been shut down for reporting on anti-government protests. Thank you for watching. We do daily news podcasts daily. Subscribe so you don't miss them.